A pregnant LA mother recounts a very horrifying trip to the store, which has turned her from a Democrat to a Republican. Oh, yeah, it's getting better. A judge, unbelievable story. This idiot judge, why do we always have idiot judges? I don't know. She, I believe it's a she, apologizes to the would-be Trump assassin. Oh, yeah, you won't believe this one. And finally, our favorite Chihuahua. Oh, yeah, it is. It's a good one. Wait till you see. Danny, good morning. Man, I'm just not feeling it today. Rainy weather, just exhausted. Relax, take it easy, have another cup of blackout coffee, enjoy your day. Why not? Marilyn, good morning. Much love goes out to you. Praise the Lord. All right, we got a big deal going on now here. It is the Jay Sheldon Show. We do this Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, covering, well, okay, most of the big stories we don't pay a lot of attention to because you can get news about that anywhere up and down the net. Some of it true, some of it not. By the way, please do check out Ground News, which is a link in our show notes. You get signed up there, get you a great discount if you use that link. Ground News is a fantastic place. I use it for show prep. It'll show you whether the outlet that you're reading leans left, leans right, leans center. It'll tell you all kinds of, find the best headlines for you and tell you what news you can trust. Ground News is a fantastic source for it. All right. Trapped by zombies. Literally. A pregnant LA mom recounts her horrifying trip to the store, and she says she's voting differently now. As the race for LA mayor heats up, one progressive voter has absolutely seen enough of Democrat failure and is switching teams, at least for this election. Being trapped by zombies has a tendency to kind of do that to you. She tells this all too familiar modern story about the dangers of walking the streets in Los Angeles. You might just find yourself staring straight at some very scary-looking street dwellers, and there is nobody, and I mean nobody, around who can help you. Now, if you happen to be heavily pregnant and you're looking after your toddler daughter, things become even more frightening. And that is exactly what this woman, Kirsten Munson, found herself in that situation. She's a tech exec who has just about seen enough of Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom's Los Angeles. Kristen writes on X, 10 months pregnant in LA, out for a relaxing walk with my 2-year-old. And we get trapped by 2 zombies. My heart is pounding, fight or flight, in full blast, as the last thing my body needs before labor. All I can think about is protecting my kids while the city falls apart around us. Mayor of LA, I voted for you. I defended you. But I've lost my trust. This is Kirsten writing this on X. Enough. I am done watching my community live in fear. I'm taking a chance on Spencer Pratt, someone who will actually demand transparency, accountability, and results. My kids won't grow up in this hellhole. It is time for a real change. Now, reality star Spencer Pratt, we talked about him a few days ago. famously saw his house, as well as his parents' house, burned to the ground during the Palisade fires of January 2025. He's run a very strong campaign as a Republican against incumbent failure, absolute failure, Karen Bass, who happened to be in Africa while her city was burning. Wide-eyed Democrat Socialists of America extremist city council member Nithya Raman. Oh yeah, she's a gem. We talked about her too earlier. Even in this absolute deep blue city, he's got a chance. As residents like Munson are realizing that what they've been voting for all these years has produced nothing but a city that looks like it is, frankly, straight out of an apocalypse movie. The writer of this article says she can relate to Kirsten. She lives just a smudge over a half mile from a reasonably fancy new outdoor mall that's enjoyable to visit. Says, I wouldn't walk there if you paid me. However, because you have to go through an underpass that looks like it's a scene from The Walking Dead. Munson was just trying to get to the grocery store in the heart of Hollywood. She told the Post she was merely walking with her daughter to Bristol Farms when she came upon this scary scene on Sunday, roughly 2 blocks from the intersection of Sunset Boulevard and Fairfax Avenue. She says, I was scared and then shocked it was so bad this time. Then furious, said Munson. Former neighborhood council rep said, I've been part of lots of neighborhood meetings, and I know how stretched the city is. Earlier that day, Munson said she was out at medical appointments with her daughter, and she had to walk around multiple people simply passed out on the sidewalk. California has a very big chance to change the directory of the entire state. Not only with the mayoral race, but there's a big gubernatorial battle going on too. Republican Steve Hilton, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, given us the first real opportunity in years to take back Sacramento. The Golden State voters disappointed the rest of America time and time again, and the all-powerful unions are going to fight tooth and nail to hold on to their power, because they're not interested in protecting their union members. They're interested in holding on to their power, plain and simple. And that means silencing the 25% of the electorate that identifies as siding with the GOP, compared to the 45% who keep siding with the Dems and cheering on the destruction of what used to be called the Golden State. It ain't that anymore, that's for damn sure. Online commentators keep telling Californians to leave. A lot have, but what they don't realize is that A, not everybody is able to do that. And B, if that cancer is allowed to spread, which it already arguably has, there will not be a place to go. Just ask the conservative residents from Austin, Texas, Denver, Colorado, a lot of other badly infected cities. This story from Ms. Munson is absolutely powerful. What she went through with her daughter, and again, she is pregnant. She is very brave to tell this story, and she says she's voting the opposite this time around. She's had it. We need more people like her in California. Danny, thank God, thank the good Lord, her and her babies were protected and no one harmed them. Exactly right. But this story's making headlines. Whether or not Californians will pay any attention to it, good question. Don't know the answer to that. I have a feeling the answer is likely not. But see how, I just happen to think that is a phrase that we use quite often here. See how it's not used much in America, is it? Nah, not really. We'll see. That's one. It's the same thing. See how. All right. I'm sure you've heard about it, but let's just let you know the latest update. Secret Service confirming the shooting near the White House. An armed man was shot. U.S. Secret Service yesterday, local time, said it shot an armed individual involved in a shooting incident near the White House and warned the public to avoid that area as emergency crews were working the scene. In a post on X, agency's Office of Communications said Secret Service personnel are on the scene of an officer-involved shooting at 15th Street and Independence Avenue in Washington, D.C. One individual was shot by law enforcement. Their condition currently unknown. Please avoid the area as emergency crews are responding. According to Fox News, Secret Service officers shot an armed individual after a confrontation unfolded near 15th and Independence Avenue, just about a half a mile from the White House, very close to the Washington Monument. And Secret Service Uniform Division officers engaged the suspect after he pulled a gun. Press conference, Deputy Director Matt Quinn said a juvenile bystander was injured in the incident. He said, "My understanding is they observed a print," Quinn said. "These are trained surveillance detection personnel out there looking every day to look for just that. And they observed a visual print of a firearm." He said upon making contact, the individual fled briefly on foot, withdrew the firearm, and fired in the direction of our agents and officers. They returned fire and engaged. The suspect, still alive. The child who was struck did not sustain any life-threatening injuries, got treatment at a hospital. He also noted that Vice President J.D. Vance's motorcade had just passed through the area shortly minutes before the shooting happened, but said the two incidents were not connected. Asked whether the suspect might have been targeting Trump, Quinn declined to speculate. He said, "I can't say. I'm not going to guess on that. I can tell you that every time we're patrolling the area, in every site, we do 24/7 hardcore, whether or not it was directed at the president or not. I don't know the answer, but I will find out." Wow. So there you go. The latest on that one. Anna Shevitz. Just keeps getting more and more, huh? What else is going on? Oh, man. This one is going to make you a little bit upset. It's only an X post, but I did check it out, and it is true, sadly. A Philadelphia boy who exposed his fellow classmates for not being able to read a simple sentence is now under threat of being blocked from graduating and expelled, not being allowed to attend the prom, all for blowing the whistle on this school's very, very low literacy rates. This is insane. No Gun Zone writes, "I'm writing to express concern regarding the school's decision to pursue expulsion of a senior student over the creation of a TikTok account involved interviewing fellow students on their ability to spell words. From what's been shared, the content appears harmless in nature, does not promote violence, bullying, any form of serious misconduct. The Black African American student is a senior that is foreign with a strong academic record and a high GPA, which reflects consistent dedication, responsibility, and commitment to their education. To jeopardize their future at such a critical point over an activity that seems intended for lighthearted engagement raises questions about fairness and proportionality in disciplinary action. The school is Preparatory Charter High School, and the TikTok page is at WhatTheVek, V-E-K. Please do something about this. They're trying to take everything away from him, including prom and graduation. Yeah. And here is the video that he posted.
Read the index card for me.
She wore a suit, clothes that were... Who's this for? Extraordinary, but somewhat Gertrude?
Now explain what that means.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch.
What does that mean?
She wore a lot. Wait, she wore, bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
She wore a... Oh, baby. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were... Bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I did it.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
All right, now what does that mean?
I have no idea. Like his clothes was nice or something like that.
She wore a... I don't know what this shit say. I don't know what this shit say. I don't know what this shit say. I can't read it. Can't read it. Can't read it. Can't talk back.
Wow. She wore a silhouette of clothes that was extraordinary, but somewhat gauche. And they couldn't make it through reading that sentence. And for that video, this guy, who is an excellent, top-notch student, is now facing the possibility of being blocked from graduating, expelled from school, missing the prom, all that good stuff. He's a senior in high school. You think maybe the school's just a little embarrassed because their literacy rate is like sucks? Yeah, it's exactly what it's all about. Virginia has voted, and guess what? The Constitution still has the final say. Virginia voters cast their ballot back on April 21st on the question of the Democrats' ridiculous gerrymandering scheme, and the yes side very narrowly prevailed. 3 points is all. Outspending the no side, by the way, better than 3-1. And since then, the advocates have repeatedly harped that, oh, the people have spoken, as if that somehow settles the matter. Well, guess what? It doesn't. Because in Virginia, as in every constitutional republic, the Constitution, not a single election result, has the final say. And Virginia's Democratic General Assembly absolutely trampled Virginia's Constitution in its Trump derangement syndrome stampede to take Virginia's congressional map from among the most balanced in the country to one of the most extreme, which has caused a lot of legal whiplash, especially to the Democrats. In fact, exclusively to the Democrats. That reality came into very sharp focus last week when the Virginia Supreme Court refused to lift the injunction blocking certification of the referendum. If the justices believed the process was clearly on solid constitutional footing, They would have let certification proceed. But guess what? They didn't. That qualifies as a tea leaf. Now, let's dispense with the spin. The legal case is about partisan advantage or which set of congressional maps someone prefers. It's about whether the General Assembly followed the rules regarding to amend Virginia's Constitution in the first place. And those rules are not suggestions, folks. To amend Virginia's Constitution, lawmakers have to pass a proposal twice, with an intervening election in between. That intervening election is not a technicality. It plays a critical role in the whole process of making an amendment. It gives voters a chance to weigh in on the people making the final call, and it didn't happen, at least not in any meaningful sense. The General Assembly didn't push through its first passage until October 31st last year. Fitting, Halloween. Right in the middle of a 45-day election that had been underway since September 19th, 2025. More than 1 million Virginians had already voted by Halloween. So, let's be honest about what that means. Over 1 million voters cast ballots without knowing the redistricting system they had overwhelmingly approved just 5 years earlier was about to be completely dismantled. They had no idea. And that is not a major glitch. That is a direct blow to the integrity of the process. And it gets worse. Oh, yeah. The amendment jammed through a special legislative session that wasn't even called for that purpose. Virginia Dems went on to try and sidestep the Constitution requirement that no referendum take place until more than 90 days after the second passage of the proposed amendment, which happened January 16th, 2026. Given that Election Day was April 21st, voting began March 6th this year. You don't need to be very good at math to know that March 6th is not 90 days from January 16th. These aren't even gray areas. They're basic requirements written to prevent exactly this kind of last-minute maneuver. And then there's the argument we've heard nonstop since the vote. The people have spoken. Really? Does that override multiple violations of the laws in Virginia and the Constitution? The people have spoken. Because when the justices asked a very simple question during oral arguments, whether the outcome of the vote had any bearing on the constitutional issues before the court, the answer from the state's own lawyer was a simple no. In one word, Virginia's Attorney General, the infamous J. Jones, you remember, had the rug absolutely pulled out from him by his own lawyers. A vote does not cure a constitutional violation. It does not override the rules that govern how the vote comes out. If the process was unconstitutional, the result is void. Period. Full stop. End of sentence. The decision is coming, and is coming soon. That decision will determine if the court finds the amendment process violated the Constitution. Referendum results nullified. If the process survives but the maps fail constitutional scrutiny, they'll be withdrawn. And if everything is upheld, well, the political consequences are going to be very significant. A mess. Virginia, what happened to you? Man. All right. Here's another one. The alleged would-be presidential assassin, Cole Allen, the latest, is now making his way through the American system of crime and punishment, which sometimes seems to take about as long as the Fyodor Dostoevsky novels, the same name. He's appearing in a courtroom presided over by a magistrate judge, Zia M. Faruqi, who yesterday, I hope you're sitting down, apologized to the alleged gunman for the unpleasant conditions of being, in jail. Yeah, really. Chief White House correspondent for Fox, Mike Emanuel, reported that news. He said, Sandra, good afternoon. Judge Zia Faruqi apologized to suspect Cole Allen for the treatment he's received so far while he's been behind bars. He's been put on a suicide watch by the Department of Corrections, and the judge was asking why. An attorney from the government said he was put on suicide watch because he told FBI agents the night of White House Correspondents' Dinner attack he did not expect to survive. And his language suggested he was not expecting to survive his trip to Washington, D.C. And the ultimate incident where he allegedly showed up with a weapon to try and assassinate President Trump, which is the crime he has been charged with. But the judge, very concerned about his constitutional rights, saying the defendant has requested a Bible, requested meetings with his legal team, and he hasn't been allowed. He's been put in restrictive 24-hour lockup, no windows, padded room without an opportunity to get out for recreation. So the judge is making it clear that he wants answers by tomorrow morning about exactly what the housing determination will be made for the suspect in this case, out of his grave concern about his constitutional rights. That apology issued near the end of the hearing. And so quite a moment, just moments ago in federal court, according to this Fox reporter. Bottom line, Department of Corrections said they wanted to make sure that he survived. It's a high-profile case. All involved acknowledged, yes, it is a high-profile case. And again, the judge concerned about the treatment he's gotten since he was arrested during the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. The judge apologized for his treatment in jail because this guy is a killer or a potential killer. If he'd gotten another couple of yards, he would have sprayed the whole audience. Sprayed them. God knows how many people he might have killed. Chances are slim he ever would have made it, but if he'd gotten just a few more yards, everybody in that audience and up on that dais would have been absolutely in dire jeopardy. Now, yes, even an alleged attempted presidential assassin has constitutional rights, including the right to confront his accusers, to a speedy trial by a jury of his peers, and to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment. But this apology from this moron ass judge is beyond the pale. It just reeks of this excessive bullshit sympathy for the accused. These complaints by the defense team, which involve what we might presume were normal practice for an inmate on suicide watch, should have been addressed by a curt, non-apologetic order from the judge for the Department of Corrections to look into it. But no, he apologized. We can probably expect some calls for the impeachment of this judge. Not likely that's going to come to fruition. But this should serve to focus attention on exactly how the judge handles the case moving forward. This is the judge assigned to the case. This is not a good sign. Judge Faruqi, being a magistrate not appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate, instead he was appointed by the judges of the U.S. District Court, the district in which he's seated. It ain't going to be good, folks. I promise you, it ain't going to be good. You're going to be shaking your heads a lot. Soft on crime. I was never treated poorly or restricted in a padded room because I don't commit crimes or try killing people, says Danny. Boo-hoo, you got caught and you deserve every second of your consequences. Boom. Maryland soft on crime is disgusting. We've got to get back to do the crime, do the time. Otherwise, they're just going to keep doing crimes. Exactly. Apologizes. What a world, what a world. Rashida Tlaib, friend of our favorite idiot, Ilhan Omar. Well, Rashida, who is just about on the same intelligence level with Ilhan, has a new homeless bill of magical thinking. Live anywhere, solve nothing. We are all very familiar with the House of Representatives' embarrassing squad, these far-left shouters who make Bernie Sanders look calm and reasonable by comparison. There's no nutcase leftist proposition they won't support. The members seem to have not only been nodding an acquaintance with reality, they're just completely out of the loop entirely. But this latest attempt by Democrat, Representative Rashida Tlaib, is a sock-dolager. Tlaib has introduced a resolution. Get this. It is known as the Homeless Bill of Rights. And even for a squad member, this is Looney Tunes. And they don't say homeless, of course. It's the Unhoused Persons Bill of Rights. I hate these people so much. It calls for government, it isn't funny, but it's so stupid, it's funny. Calls for government-led intervention to end homelessness over the next 3 years. Oh, wow. Introduces more than a dozen protections for unhoused people. If it's passed, Tlaib's legislation would include freedom of movement for homeless people in public spaces, affordable housing, livable wages, universal health care, and panhandling. This isn't just some random comment. Rep. Tlaib has been introducing this, hoping in vain to prompt a House vote, or at least to be able to go back to her district and say, oh, another attempt to stick it to the man. Boy, aren't I the greatest. Note that it is not a bill. It's a resolution. Difference. That action has about as much chance of passage as Taib has of being elected overlord of the known universe. That ain't going to happen anytime soon. Or maybe I'll get spontaneously teleported to a little patch of forest in Namibia. That's not going to happen either. But a resolution, mind you, is non-binding, meaning none of this could be enforced. And boy, howdy, is that ever a good thing. This would not end homelessness. Taib doesn't know anything about how incentive works. Of course, I could have just stopped that sentence at anything, but you know. She can't possibly understand how the incentives here free everything with no questions asked. Just make life easier on the streets and a lot more comfortable, and absolutely horrible for the people who live around the explosion of massive homeless enclaves. Remember our first story this morning? Now here's the real eyebrow raiser. Her proposal would, however, grant the homeless population freedom from harassment by law enforcement, private businesses, property owners, and housed residents. That means you. You know, like unhoused people, the homeless. These are housed residents. Like I said, that means you. Specifically, homeless individuals would be given protections against banishment from private property. They'd be welcome to just walk on anywhere they wanted to. Otherwise, we'd be violating their fundamental civil and human rights. Of course. It would basically abolish private property. The mask is off. This, of course, is par for the course for the nutcase left, always hungering after property, mostly because they have never done anything to earn property of their own. But even for the nutcase left, like Taib, this is one step beyond. A spokesperson for her did not immediately respond for a request for comment about the provision and how it would work in practice. You don't say. You got the squad, you got the squad's absolute lunacy, and this, one step past that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But away we go. Got more for you. Oh yeah, we're not done. A Wisconsin pub brewer or brew pub owner, you're going to remember this guy when I tell you this story. He is now, there has to be a law. He is pledging free beer if Trump dies. He's now running for governor. Yeah. You remember this knucklehead? Oh, yeah. I remember him only too well. An FBI spokesman says an investigation into Kirk Bangstad remains ongoing as the brewer cashes in on his 15 minutes of infamy. This lefty Wisconsin brew pub owner, who lamented last month's failed assassination attempt against Trump, using his 15 minutes of idiot radical fame to run for governor. And as you might expect, his platform is full-on Trump derangement syndrome. Kirk Bangstad, owner of the leftist front business Monaqua Brewery, posted on his company's Facebook page that the rumors are true. Quote, 5 minutes before I started writing this essay, I filed papers to become the next governor of Wisconsin, he declared. He added, he's throwing his hat into the crowded field of far-left candidates because he believes Wisconsin needs a battle-hardened fighter to join the rest of America to save our democracy from the Trump regime. He thinks he's the only gubernatorial candidate who fits this particular Trump-hating credential list. His campaign announcement came a week after the Monaqua Brewery's social media post urged that the next Trump would-be assassin should improve his marksmanship. He actually said that. In a now deleted post, he wrote, well, we almost got free beer day. Either a brother or sister in the resistance needs to work on their marksmanship, or he faked another assassination attempt to get a positive news cycle. We'll never know. Regardless, we stand at the ready to pour free beer the day it happens. Yeah, go ahead, Wisconsin. Vote this scumball into office. Go ahead. I'm sure you likely might. Wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes I don't like free speech. I know how you feel, but honestly, it is likely the most important right that we have. The right to free speech. Really. You ready for this one? Moms and dads, listen tight. Instead of reading and math, your kids' teachers are grading your kids on personality and emotions. I know. In a lot of classrooms today, students are no longer evaluated solely on what they know, what they've learned, but increasingly they are evaluated on how they think, how they react, and how they see themselves. This is so pathetic. Most parents still believe that when they send their kid to school, that kid's going to be taught reading, writing, mathematics, science, history, assuming the school records grades, attendance, test scores, and really not much more. Well, guess what? That assumption is no longer true. What if education has been quietly changing the ways most families have never been fully told about? Across the country, school systems have been adopting programs called Portrait of a Graduate, Future Ready Learner, and Whole Child Development. These initiatives, presented as modern, innovative, and necessary for future success, but behind all the appealing bullshit language, it's a shift that would give any parent absolute pause. Schools are moving away from teaching academic knowledge and towards training that measures attitudes and emotions, behaviors, and yes, even aspects of your child's identity. I'm assuming you can throw gender in there. A lot of classrooms today, apparently, many students no longer evaluated solely on what they know, but increasingly on how they think, how they react, how they cooperate, how they see themselves. Children may be asked to write about their fears and reflect on their personal and family struggles, share emotional experiences, discuss their own and their family beliefs and their attitudes in group settings. May sound very harmless. After all, reflection has long been a part of learning. But what makes this different and concerning is that these responses very often get observed, recorded, and documented and evaluated as a broader part to measure internal traits like resilience, empathy, self-awareness, a sense of belonging. These are deeply, deeply personal aspects of a child's life, areas that historically belong in the family, not in the classroom, in a government institution. Written and video recorded observations, behavioral notes, recorded reflections do not mature along with any child. They stay fixed snapshots of a moment in development that may or may not reflect who that child ultimately becomes. And yet they are placed in a grade on that. Find out what's going on in your schools. Know what's happening. And if this is happening, y'all better be doing something about it. It ain't good. Danny, this is kind of a random, but is head lice not a thing anymore? Do you remember getting head lice checks? I absolutely do remember. And in fact, I am the oldest of 5. So there were 5 of us all in school at the same time. And again, in Cornwall, they have kindergarten through 8th grade. And from there, you go on to high school, Housatonic Valley High School, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So if there was an outbreak at the school, that's a lot of people, including all 5 of us. I cannot recall. I have a very faint memory that we did at one point get infected with head lice, but it's been 60 years or more, so I cannot recall. Anyway, do you remember? I absolutely remember getting checks. Schools don't have the nurses checking kids anymore, and I haven't heard of any lice outbreaks. As have I not also heard of any outbreaks, and there's been virtually no discussion that I can recall about head lice. Is it still an issue? Do you know? Is that happening where maybe where you are? Don't know. Very odd. All right, I got one more for you, and it's a goodie. This is Rockstar. Rockstar is quickly becoming our favorite Chihuahua. I don't know. You know what? I don't think I even need to explain this much, really. I'll just play it and let you enjoy.
And we don't do nothing. Nothing. Who dog is this?
What? Tell me. What do you want?
I want to go out.
Really? Tell me more.
I'm bored.
Really?
Yeah, so get up.
What?
Now.
I don't think.
Why?
Oh my goodness.
Come on, you just sit here pushing the buttons on this stick. And we don't do nothing. 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 What? Say something. Say something.
Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is Chihuahua. Love it. Oh, man. All right, we covered the gamut today. Thank you, folks. It's a Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of yours. How do people like my sister hate dogs? They're just the best. Oh, man. I have no idea. But you're right. There are people who just don't get it. Don't associate with those people. They're not good. All right, we're done. We're cooked. Hey, be sure and follow the show and hit the follow or subscribe button. We really do appreciate that. We want you to be here and get notified whenever we are live. You know what now, Danny? Since you started talking about head lice, my head itches. Don't do that. It's a serious psychosomatic thing. It's weird, but it happens all the time. Right? Yeah. All right. You can help donate to the show. Use that link for our PayPal donations there in the comments, our description. Also, of course, all our wonderful sponsors, Blackout Coffee, Ground News, Patriot Mobile. They're all down there. And enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We will see y'all tomorrow.